it's Rhea. Wherever you are and whatever time it is, I hope you are enjoying yourself. So I wanted to try something new, per usual as a content creator still growing and cultivating an audience, and one of those new things was a silent drawing video, which was my last video that I posted, I believe, where I kind of just draw on my sketchbook without talking. Usually I'm doing like studies, but you'll hear the sketching and stuff, but I'm like there's no talking in it. I'm not aiming for it to be ASMR, but if it does work out that way for people, then cool. But then another thing I wanted to try was like a more podcasty talking type video where there's like a time lapse or a drawing process or something going, and I share some of my thoughts, usually regarding art in some kind of way. Just because I like having interesting discussions that may be insightful for myself or other people. But before I fully get into the topic here, let me go ahead and briefly go over the drawings and how their processes were. Okay, so each of these are my OCs. You can hopefully get somewhat of an idea of their natures based on how they look, but two of them have actually already been in previous videos, so I start by drawing each of them individually. First one is Gisetta, and sort of like that flat style that I've been trying. I like the fun, bright colors in this and the background I did, but maybe if I rendered this the way that I usually do, it wouldn't have felt so off to me. I generally like her outfit, like regarding the bomber jacket, and I did want her to wear a cute skirt since it fits her personality, but like, something's missing. I do like her playful pose in this though. The second drawing that I do is the girl that I still don't have a name for because I'm hit or miss with names, and by that I mean either they get a name shortly after being birthed past an idea, or I've drawn them like 10 times endearingly and haven't the slightest clue on what to name them, so I'm not a fan of how that one turned out because, like, I don't know. Actually, it's hard to explain why. I mostly think it's the pose, but I also can't figure out an outfit I like on her, as she has, like, a very punk but cute style, kind of like a Kuromi. And then the last drawing features a character who I really want to call Peony, but, like, that's mostly because their pinkish colored hair kind of reminds me of, like, a peony flower. But mostly because it reminds me of pyon, which is like the hopping onomatopoeia, I believe, in Japanese, and their hair and nature is similar to like that of a bunny. But in theory, I like their outfit and their design. I'm enjoying making non-binary characters that may not look androgynous, since it helps me get a better idea at like erasing preconceived notions on gender identity and appearance. But this drawing also still feels off. I guess I'm just really realizing how much I want dynamic poses and more interesting ways to portray my characters than just like a switched up standing pose. Anyway, we'll eventually get to the drawing of all three of them together, which, let me say, as someone who hardly draws one person at a time, let alone multiple people interacting, this was quite the challenge I took on. Not to mention, I tried to show slight expressions too. And I had multiple hands showing. So, all of these are things I need to work on more, but like, I'm glad that I stepped outside of my comfort zone to push myself further than the usual. It does end up feeling more sketchy rather than rendered out due to my shoddy line art, but nevertheless, I'm kind of happy about drawing it. I definitely want to draw more of my OCs interacting and showing emotions, since it feels kind of like I'm bringing them more into legitimacy as like an actual character that I made. But anyways, that's my spiel about the drawings. It's nothing super great, but I had an overall pretty chill time. I do hope I can draw faster though. I don't know why, it feels like it took like each of these took way more time than I wanted, since I knew that they weren't going to be like an actual piece or anything. So yeah, on to the topic. I mean, actually, it's probably going to be pretty easy depending on how I title this, but y'all may or may not know, but I am Black. I am a Black artist. I am indeed African American and raised in such culture. Y'all also know, or can at least probably tell, that I like a lot of things like anime and playing video games. I don't really know how to ease into this seamlessly, but growing up I've always liked creative and fun things, particularly like fun stories, drawing, video games, etc. And the older that I got, the more I indulged in different kinds of media with the same vibrant, whimsical, and cool energy. I especially loved anime, TV shows, book series, and once again, video games. There's really two main things that I can touch on from here, but they both lead to the same root of being Black. One of these things is that liking this variety of things, no matter if it was like anime, rock music, or expressive punk fashion, hell, even like reading books and like learning, there were people who would make it seem like those things took away my Blackness, like as if I couldn't possibly be Black and like any of that stuff, as if like none of these things introduced during my childhood influenced me or became a part of me. And I've been told by my peers and even sometimes by my own parents, like that whole why are you trying to act white notion, or basically like, oh, I didn't really expect that from you since like, you're Black. And if it wasn't that, then the other thing that I did notice is that while liking these things, alternative music, video games, cartoons, and TV shows, I rarely saw someone who looked like me. And if I did, it was just like a sprinkle, just like a small little percentage. And half of the time, they'd have some quirky, more Europeanized attributes to them, whether if it was physically or culturally. And sure, Black people in these fictional and non-fictional spaces did technically exist. It just wasn't really common. Like it was often seen as like a background role or something that was like twisted to where it was never showing our full potential as people. So like always a stepping stone type character or someone lacking in depth or balance and flaws, Honestly, while it seems like I'm talking in the past tense, these issues are still very much present in people who are ignorant. And for this first issue of people thinking or even joking that my interests made me like not Black anymore, obviously that's invalid. I'm not sure why it is that like when I'm exposed to and influenced by multiple kinds of media and cultures, something like pretty common being raised in America, I'm still expected to follow a very niche or prejudiced stereotype. It also really sucks because like just like with being a girl, I didn't think of my ethnicity as something to fully affect and define my personality. But people, for some reason, like to act otherwise. And I'm not gonna stay in a small box out of someone else's perception of me due to my race. I don't go around thinking, oh wow, a new graphic novel, anime, EDM song, K-drama. Too bad I'm Black. Guess I can't indulge in that. Like, no one should ever feel that way in regards to their race. Like, that's just silly. And if it's unexpected to you for me to like those things, then maybe you should reassess that. Also, small side note and rant, the silliest thing about this is like with how much involvement Black people have had in many different forms of entertainment, education, and inventions, I really end up feeling gaslit whenever people think that I'm out of place for liking the things that I do. Because I don't know how many of y'all realize that like Black culture is the origin of many popular trends and movements. So please take some time to research it. I think one of the most infuriating things to me is like people taking aspects of our culture for their own personal gain, not crediting us or anything after disrespecting our existence and then making it seem like we're inferior beings. It's like you want to steal from us, but you don't want to give us credit as the people who made it or as the people that like founded it. I'm not trying to gatekeep. But if you're gonna take things from us, the least thing you could do is like respect us as people and give us credit where credit is due. I'm gonna say it time and time again because until it starts to click, I'm so tired of people getting defensive over their face whenever they're called out for like blackface or other severe appropriation. Like, girl, in 2022, and like even in like the past like 5 to 10 years, like what are y'all doing? I'm sorry, like that's embarrassing. But on a brighter note, I'm very glad to have met friends who have similar experiences because we're able to validate and encourage each other to keep pursuing all of these fun interests. And if any of you watching have been in that boat or even currently feel that way, I wish you a very merry, do whatever you want as long as it's respectful and not hurting anyone else or yourself. As for the second topic regarding the importance of representation, it's pretty straightforward in the sense that like you want people who look like you to be present in the things that you like or indulge in. As a teenager, I wanted to see cute indie photos of like other black girls or literally just like black or darker skinned people in general, because representation is a colorism issue as well. It took so much to see us on mere magazine covers or lead TV show roles. So the fact that some people today think, wow, they get so much attention and just because they're black, like I can't express enough how backwards that thought process is. It's like, I don't need to get into our history of like slavery and segregation and degradation of basic human rights for centuries for you to understand why that sounds silly as hell. Like, in just about every industry we're in, it's always been the standard for us to strive double, if not triple times harder just to get half of what is given to the white majority population. I used to be shy and like too unsure to say stuff like that now, but in all 23 years of my life, I can guarantee that fact. And for the ones who have expressed themselves and stood up to offer representation in these pop cultural spaces, they're getting told things like, you can't draw this character as black, you can't cosplay this non-black character since you're black, this fun magical story doesn't fit a black character. Like, some people would literally rather condone death threats and like hate speeches against black people expressing their interests than share a space with them, and that genuinely sickens me. But oh, all of y'all are okay with using AVE or indulging in bits of our culture as you remove us as people completely. So yes, this is the importance of representation to me. I like to draw colorful, diverse, multi-talented black characters just as much as any other type of character because that's what I want to see out in the world, and I want that to feel normal, not like some super renowned thing for me to do. I wished when growing up that there was validation for liking magical girls and learning about writing and fantasy stories or exciting games. I wished as a teenager to even being a young adult now that there were more resources for black creatives, whether aspiring students, industry professionals, or self-driven personal business owners. Overall, in solidarity with validation and resources, I just want to see examples, and not just like that, oh, we have these things, they're just over here in that little dusty corner, you can go look if you'd like. No, I need y'all to broadcast it. Not just during these 28 days either. Give that same respect, infatuation, and engaging platform to multiple black creators all year round 24/7. I have yet to see more creators on here that look like me, and I don't want to have to search on the 10th page just to see more slightly tan hands in a video. At the end of all this, I have to say a disclaimer that I'm not trying to have people pay attention to me just because I'm black. Like I said, it's not something that defines my entire personality and way of life. If you're only supporting and paying attention to people for that one reason and you have no care for what we do or who we are as an individually unique human being, then like that's kind of weird, my dude. The point is for you to recognize my background and culture and maybe take it into consideration in some instances, and yet not feel any different watching me and taking a part of my content because I am black. If I watch someone with a different race or ethnicity than me, I'm not thinking, oh, they're this ethnicity? I don't think I'll be able to relate to this at all and click off. Like, I like people's cultural differences and backgrounds and the like anecdotes and insight that come with them. Even if I can't fully relate, I'm sure we have something in common that made me watch their content in the first place. It's just generally insightful to me. I always say before we are any kind of category to identify ourselves with, we are always human first. And I say that to say that I feel like who you are as a person is the most defining thing about you. You know, like what you say, how you act, like those are the things that is going to stand out the most out of everything else about you. And I feel like I should make another disclaimer because it's not like my characters look extremely black, if that makes sense. It's like, really, this is similar to what I mentioned earlier in regards to black characters having more ambiguously racial features that favor the European standard rather than realistically black features. I feel like people would look at a majority of my art and feel like I'm being hypocritical because not all my black characters have those black attributes all the time. And honestly, like, part of this is because, one, it wasn't something I practiced, like, which is partly another consequence of poor representation in media, but I just subconsciously would draw lighter skinned characters with perfect flowing straight hair because usually that's what I saw when I looked at the media that I liked. And it's also probably just common when you're starting out drawing characters in general. Like, I can be honest with myself and say that I haven't explored more defining features in character design until like the past few years. And I realized it after being exposed to more diverse characters. I realized it after seeing more black artists on Twitter and like their really cool OCs. And instead of me feeling embarrassed or like I'm some kind of fraud for this, I'd rather continue to take inspiration and informative resources into consideration as I create more characters in the future. The other thing about me having these traits in my character design is a part of it is simply just my style. And yes, I do know that these are like the infamous words that some artists have used as like an excuse to whitewash the hell out of like some characters and do anything to avoid having to learn, you know, how to draw textured hair or darker skin. But like I have no reason to be using that phrase in that way, so like when I say it's my style, I mean things like colorful eyes and hair that's flowy are just what I gravitate towards. My go-to skin tone, when without like thinking about it, is like the middle spectrum because that's similar to how I look. But I mean, that doesn't mean that I won't step outside that and learn other styles, because learning things outside your own style is how you grow as an artist. And as someone who wants to create many fun and diverse characters without it being a big deal, I value that experience. I feel like I haven't been super vocal on things like this, like topics regarding being black and being a black creator, because being black in this world is very tiresome and spontaneously triggering in ways that I am still learning till this day. I don't want it to feel like a burden or like it's the main thing to dwell on every day that I'm alive. Because like I said, being black is one of the many attributes that I have. And it's not something that I'm consciously aware of until like a situation shows otherwise. While it is something that's important, you know, in regards to like how I view things and, you know, like my origin, I think everyone's background is important, but it's just not everything, you know, like it's not something that I want to constantly think about. It's not something that I want to have affect what I can and cannot do. It's not something that I want to affect how people view me, you know? Like, I'm just me. I'm a human being with, like, feelings and emotions, and, like, that should be what's important to you. But then, of course, you know, these are important topics for me during this time while we are still fighting against, like, discrimination and prejudice and, like, stereotypes. So I'm going to continue talking about these things because until it changes for the better, then, like, it must be said. But I don't want to end this sounding like sad or like I'm bitter, because like that's not really my style here, you know? Like I like to be calm and uplifting and reassuring to other people. So on that note, I mean, feel free to comment below any insightful black creatives that you guys know. I want to provide this as like a good opportunity for their promotion. Or if you yourself are a black creative, I mean, in any kind of way, please feel free to comment below, like promoting yourself or even sharing your thoughts and feelings on the topic. I know I'm not really like a relevant artist right now, but I do want to do whatever I can as like someone pursuing a creative career and aiming to withhold a social space. I really wish to build like a chill little fun and respectful community, so yeah. But I definitely have been talking for like a hot minute, and I mean, I guess that makes sense because this is supposed to be a more podcasty style video. There's a nice little time lapse to follow too if you like visuals, so yeah. Let me know if you would like me to do more of these and some topics that you'd like me to cover. Definitely doesn't have to be race related, and probably most of it won't be because, like I said, exhausting and kind of triggering, but it's always important to like share our thoughts and discuss things important to us, and I felt like this would be a pretty cool space for me to talk about important things to me and discuss it with you guys, because I'm assuming you're also some kind of like creative being, or maybe you just like being in a space with other creatives. So, and then also to clarify, whenever I say topic, I mean like topic art based, because I mean I'm not really here to talk about like everything going on in the world all the time. Like the main reason why I ended up talking about this is because it's Black History Month, so I felt like it was pretty on par. But yeah, generally I do plan to just talk about like artsy things because that's what I like. But then there's like also really good topics for artists to talk about, or just being like a creative in general, like burnout, selling your work, and like monetization. There's like just so many things, so yes, do please let me know. And normally I try to be like open-minded during these kinds of discussions and have like different opinions going, but I'm gonna be honest, like if you think even slightly that I or anyone else that's black doesn't deserve representation, that I should only live based on very specific racist stereotypes, that I'm inferior in any way for being black, then this is clearly not a channel for you. There's 8 billion people in the world, and there's many of them that I can do without, so. But I do hope you guys like the drawings of my little characters. I still have like many of my OCs that have yet to get screen time, but this was really fun. I hope next time that I can get like a more interesting time lapse. I don't know, I always feel like odd about the time lapse, like the Procreate time lapse, because it doesn't show everything in real time, and I always say this, like it doesn't show me flipping the canvas, and then sometimes it looks like it's not really moving when it really is. It's just like I probably really zoomed in at that point. So yeah, I might try screen recording again. But anyways, yeah, is there anything coming up? This video is going to end in a little bit, so I'm trying to figure out if there's any extra news that I should share. I definitely want to do another old sketchbook tour because I forgot where we left off, but I definitely still have other sketchbooks to go through, and it's kind of funny to see like my older drawings. And then in regards to my like my more frequent sketchbook, I actually want to do another draw with me, like a fan art edition one, because my fan art sketchbook is almost done, and so I'm trying to desperately fill out the last couple of pages, so one of them will probably be turned into that kind of video. So yes, if you enjoy rambling me, then why, and then thank you. Also, I may hopefully be able to stream on Twitch, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. I really just need to look into OBS and then sort of like draft out all this stuff, but upcoming things, exciting. But I'm gonna go ahead and cue the outro music because yeah, it's definitely time to go. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed your time here today, please feel free to leave a like. If you're interested to see more of my content, you can always check out my other videos and subscribe. For reference, if you're new, I am Rhea, or Etheria, and I very much like making arts and art-related content on my channel. I do try to post weekly, but if you'd like more timely updates, you can always check out my other social media linked in the description and posted at the end of the video. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I wish you a nice rest of your day and or week. Till next time, happy Black History Month, and take care!